Strategic planning. It's a crucial element in turning ambitious visions into reality. Today, we're exploring how to set a big kahuna, a 10-year goal, and break it down into actionable steps, ensuring that every team member knows their roles and their responsibilities. From defining your ultimate 10-year vision to chopping it up into achievable 2 and 5-year goals, I'm going to guide you through making SMART goals. You're smart, you're motivated, you want to do something big. You're on the verge of being a young boss, and we're going to help you get there. I'm your host, Isabel Garino, and welcome to the Young Boss Podcast, where youth is your power. Today, we're going to talk about discovering how you can create a focused 1-year plan and quarterly objectives that complement that 1-year plan so you can drive your business forward. We're also going to cover how to assign tasks, track progress, and adapt when necessary. Get ready to learn how to set the stage for long-term success, navigate the challenges of strategic planning with flexibility and precision, and keep your team on track and motivated. Let's jump in. Answer this for me. If you don't know where you're going, how are you going to know when you got there? It kind of reminds me of how, road trips with the family when I was a kid, and you'd pull out that big, huge map. You needed to know how to get from point A to point B, or we had MapQuest, I guess, but you didn't have Siri in the back with the soothing voice telling you about road closures or new exits or right lanes. It was printed at the time that you printed it, or, when it was made, and you're just trying to figure it out as you go along. You didn't know what lane to be in, what exit to take. Don't let your business be run by an outdated physical map. You feel me? Okay, a lot of y'all are just starting out in business, and you might not even have a name yet or a website or clients. But having a long-term vision for your business from the get-go is vital. The importance of having this vision is so that you know where you're going. You know what you want to accomplish. Again, it's starting back with that question. If we don't know where we want to go, how will we know if we got there? If you really don't know why you're even getting into business, and maybe your long-term vision right now is your personal goal, and your business is going to help you accomplish that personal goal. But if you don't know, we'll never know how to get there or what to do. The big kahuna is defined as the most important or dominant person or thing. For you, the big kahuna is your 10-year goal, your 10-year vision for your business. 10 years is a long time, okay? I feel ya. But if you aren't in this for the long haul, then what's the point of all the effort? The potential relationships or money you'll lose? Entrepreneurship is a marathon, not a sprint. And even though sometimes you're going to have to sprint to meet a deadline or sales goals, those things are the minutia that, when compounded, are going to blossom into long-term success. So how can defining the big kahuna influence your strategic planning? When you have that big dream, that big vision, it then is a lot easier to break things down. Instead of starting at the bottom and saying, what do I need to do in the next 30 days, 90 days? You're only going to be taking that one step ahead. I need you to see the whole staircase. I need you to see the whole vision and see what's at the top so you understand those small steps you're taking. Or else it's really easy to get off track and spend 90 days or 30 days going in the completely wrong direction. But if you're always looking at the top of the stairs, you'll know that each step is getting you there. Now, I'm not here to sugarcoat it, or anything for that matter, but defining your big kahuna, your 10-year vision, it is a daunting task, without a doubt. And to be honest, you will face challenges when it comes time for you to do this. It's also worth noting that over time, your goals, your big kahuna, it's going to evolve, and that's okay. But I want you to be prepared for the challenges that await you, so you're as prepared as possible when you do, and you will, cross that bridge. There's so many things that may come up when we're setting that long-term goal. Some things that you need to consider is that your subconscious, your self-doubt, that little devil on your shoulder are gonna come in strong when you start to lay down your plans. When you think of that 10-year goal and you write something out, it's gonna say, you can't do that. You don't know how to get there. You're not strong enough, smart enough, fast enough, rich enough. How are you going to get the money to do that? You'll never achieve this. And all of a sudden, that Imagineer inside of you dies. everything that, you set that vision and set that goal, it just starts to go away. You need to have that moment to just dream. And in that moment, you need to be prepared for what your mind is going to do to you, how you're going to self-sabotage. If you know it's going to come, it's a lot easier when that thought comes up to say, not right now, save it for later. Save it for later, because this is your time to let your Imagineer go crazy. Write down everything that you want to or think you can accomplish, but all that to say that your goals, they eventually are going to need to be SMART. So you might be saying to yourself, well, of course I'm going to make my goals SMART. And that's totally fair, but let me explain to you what SMART means. S is for specific. If you want to coach people, who do you want to coach? Where do you want to coach them? What do these people look like? Where do you find them? What does the coaching look like? If you want to sell coffee, how many cups? Where? What kind? To who? You really need to get down to the specifics. M is for measurable. Dollars, minutes, people, name them, get it down. We need to have a measurable thing that you can actually track over the next 10 years to see, did we do it or not? If it's not measurable, we'll never know if we actually got there. A is for achievable. And this is where that little Imagineer, can start to say, okay, how do we accomplish this? Can you actually do this? How will you do it? If your 10-year goal is to conquer the world or end homelessness or teach everyone in the United States about real estate, that's not really measurable. That's not really achievable. I would love to say that you can end homelessness, but how? Instead, how about we write a goal that says, I want to serve 10,000 people food in this specific soup kitchen. I want to get 50 women in the state of Arizona jobs by the end of 2025. Those are absolutely achievable. They're still, high risk. There's still these big, huge goals that you've got to go after, but they're more achievable. The R is for relevant. We've talked about this on past episodes, but you really need to ask yourself, do people want this? Does the market care? Because if you are just creating a business or a job that only you care about, that only you want, no one's going to buy it. So we need to make sure that it's relevant. T is for time bound. This is your deadline, baby. When? Give us the date. Obviously, we know this is a 10-year goal, but you need to write down, when did those 10 years start? It's super necessary for you to break down your long-term goals into manageable steps, because if you're staring at that 10-year goal all day, it seems unachievable. It does. And when you make your goals SMART, you'll be able to more easily achieve that end game goal, that big kahuna, the reason why you started all of this, the reason why you wake up early and stay up late, the reason why you say no to happy hours and coastal road trips and to your friends' kids' first birthday parties. So what is that end game goal? That end goal serves as the North Star for a company. It's providing direction and inspiration for all the strategic initiatives and day-to-day operations. I defined end game goal as a long-term vision, which we've already talked about. An end game goal is audacious. It's inspiring and often referred to as a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal. An end game goal is SMART. Okay, it's strategic. It aligns with the company's values and it's mission and strategic driven. Now that your goal is big, it's hairy, it's audacious, you need to break down the big picture. Think about it like this. You just ordered a large pizza for dinner, and your goal, for whatever reason, is to eat the entire 20-inch pie in one night. If you tried to sprint through the pizza, there's a pretty good chance you're not going to make it through the whole pie. You are literally biting off more than you can chew, okay? Trying to do everything at once. You're moving too fast. Now, if you set goals for yourself, such as eating 2 slices every half hour, you might actually have a chance of finishing that pizza. Why? Because you've broken down your goals into smaller, manageable, achievable goals, bite-sized goals, if you will. Eventually, you're going to finish that pizza, and you're not going to feel as shitty about it or exhausted when you do, because you made it manageable. And it's the same thing with business. Your 10-year goal, it's that 20-inch pizza pie. Your 5-year goal is half that pizza. So where do we need to be halfway through? Your 2-year goal and 1-year goal represent even smaller pieces of the pie. When it comes to setting that 10, then 5, then 2, and even 1-year goals, when you have that big 10-year goal, the 5-year goal is where do you need to be halfway through this? Because sometimes in business, it's not this steady flow. Sometimes it's we're working real hard for 5 years and we launch at year 6. And so having those broken down of saying, yes, we want to be here in 10 years, but where do I need to be halfway through? That's why I love using the 5-year mark too, because it really helps you see and understand that things take time. Year 1 is not going to be the same as year 8. We rarely see consistency as business owners, so you need to bake that in and also have room for those pivots, also have room for those changes that come up along the way. You know, a big, hairy, audacious goal that you might set in your business is we want to sell 100,000, articles of clothing, whatever your business is, or we want to put lashes on 5,000 girls in the Scottsdale area. Whatever it is, it's important for you to have that big, huge goal and then break it down. Hey, why waste your time doom scrolling when you could be learning how to raise capital, manage a team, or be a boss? It's time to level up and hit that subscribe button for the Young Boss Podcast. Now, back to the show. What are you going to need to do to get there? What marketing do you need? What budget do you need? How much is it going to cost you to get the product, make the product? How are you going to get out there in front of your clients? You also have to adjust and reassess often, because sometimes I'll look at that big 10-year goal and say, how the heck are we going to get there? And I go right back and I look, here's what we need to do in 5. Here's what we need to do in 2, 1, and this is what I have to do this quarter to achieve that 10-year goal. So we've talked about it, the 10, the 5, the 2. I'm going to make this even more manageable for you. So let's talk about the key components of an effective annual plan. This is your 1-year plan, which I know a lot of people, they start with the 1-year plan because this is more exciting and it's more, you can see it so clearly. I still want you to have that vision out there, but in your 1-year goal, you're going to start with your executive summary. This is going to include your mission and vision, your business overview, and your key annual goals. The second part is the market analysis, which is an overview of your industry. What market trends are happening and what's the current state of the market's landscape. The third thing you need to consider is objectives and goal. Remember, SMART, okay? All caps, S.M.A.R.T. Yes, those are the ones we're talking about here, and you'll need to identify your priorities. If you're having a hard time identifying the priorities, I encourage you to read Essentialism by Greg McKeown. Number 4 is strategy and tactics. Develop strategic initiatives and detailed strategies to achieve your goals. Alongside it, your action plans. What actions and tasks will be required to meet and implement the strategies? Number 5 is marketing and sales. Now, I know this is like the exciting fun part, at least for me, right? But this is the part that's going to include your market segmentation. Who is that ideal customer avatar? Who's that profile you're going after? And it also needs to include your value proposition. All my salespeople know what that is, your marketing and sales strategies. And if you're not a marketing or sales expert, find one or both. Number 6 is your operations plan. This details your operational goals. What process improvements or innovations are you trying to make? What resource allocation? This is money, people, equipment, technology, all these things. Where are they going and how are you using them? Next is your financial plan. Just a warning, if you're not budgeting your personal income prior to becoming a business owner, this one might be a challenge because your financial plan is going to include revenue projections, expense budgets, profit and loss statements, cash flow statements, and your break-even analysis. I highly recommend you find a trusted professional to consult with for this. Most people fail in business because of their financials, not because of their ideas. Number 8 is performance metrics and monitoring. We've talked about it before on this show, but you need to set KPIs or key performance indicators. What can be measured can be managed and it can be improved. You'll also need a monitoring plan and reporting schedule. So stay organized and stay on top of all of these things. They are crucial to your growth and success. And listen, numbers tell the story at the end of the day. You need to consider your risk management plan. It's pretty self-explanatory, but you need to identify the potential risks, challenges, and then create a plan for risk mitigation, as well as contingency plans for when shit inevitably hits the fan. Timelines is next. You'll absolutely need a timeline. This is crucial for goal setting and achieving goals. Without them, you'll literally get nothing done. And if you don't have a deadline, then how are you going to manage your team? Lastly, team and responsibilities. This is your organizational structure. Who's in charge of who gets what done. Detail out those key roles. Understanding key components? Check. With your annual business plan in place, we yet again need to break this down into quarters because that's how businesses operate, in quarters. Pro tip, make your quarters align with the first of the year. This method aligns with most businesses. Now, some start on July 1st each year. Others, like Nike, they start on the 1st of May, post-tax filing. Kind of smart if you ask me. When I'm looking to prioritize tasks within a quarterly plan, I look at what we need to accomplish in that 1 year. And then I break it down. What has to happen this quarter so that each part of this goal can actually come to fruition? I write down everything that needs to happen. And then I break it down. What happens first, second, next? How long is that going to take me? We use a system called EOS, Entrepreneur Operating System. I've talked about it on the show before. And in EOS, you have rocks. Rocks are, well, let me tell this story. When you have a vase or a jar and you've got rocks, pebbles, sand, and water, and you're trying to fit them all in the jar. If you start with the water and then pour the sand, put the rocks, pebbles, things may not actually fit. But if you start with those rocks at the bottom, and then you pour your pebbles, and then you pour your sand goes into those cracks. Your water then goes in, and everything can fit. So rocks are things that are going to take you 90 days or more. Call them whatever you want to call them. I call them rocks. What do you need to do this quarter? And then we break it down. My pebbles, right? What are those longer term to-dos? Maybe they're not going to take me 90 days, but they'll take me 30 days. That's a long-term to-do. And then my sand, my less than 7-day to-dos. Now, those are going to often come up and that list will be always evolving. But those rocks, they really shouldn't be changing because if you are so set on your 10, 5, 2, and 1 year goal, you have to get this thing done. It's mission critical, as they say in corporate, right? It's super important that you get it done because if not, the next quarter you're set up to fail. And in turn, the whole year you're set up to fail. And in turn, you're not going to hit your 10-year goal. So what do you need to do to make sure that everything fits in the jar and you can keep going on this plan? Set those rocks or quarterly goals, whatever you want to call them. One of the biggest transformations you'll go through as a business owner is self-accountability. And it's a hell of a ride, especially if you're a solopreneur to start. It's you and only you. Invoice didn't get sent? That's on you. A client's unhappy with your product or service? That's also on you. A key email didn't get responded to? Yep, that's on you. We're human. It happens. But when it comes to building your business and building your team, it's on you to equip yourself with the tools to keep your employees and vendors and clients accountable. It's on you to make sure you're on track hitting those quarterly goals. Think of the quarterly goals as each bite of that pizza slice. You have to take that bite in order to finish the slice. And you have to finish the slice in order to finish the whole pie. It's those bite-sized methods. It's on you to have efficient methods to track progress and hold everyone accountable. For me, we use a tool called Asana. Other people use Monday or all sorts of different tracking tools where you can write down, this is the task I'm working on. Here's all the components that I need. Every week, our team gets together and we say, how far along are you? What updates do you have? Are you having any issues with other departments who are holding you up? This helps us identify bottlenecks so that things can go faster. If we aren't often meeting and I'm not often getting updates on what they're doing, that's on me. So you need to consider using some sort of tool, some sort of system, even if you're a solopreneur. What are your updates? Give yourself a little meeting every Monday where you sit down and say, here's all the things I had to do this quarter. How far along am I? What am I slacking on? You know, I often find the things that I'm slacking on are the things that I really don't actually like to do. And then I go back to my 4 box and put them in the I don't like to do this, right? Whether I'm good at it or bad at it, it falls in the different boxes. But when a task needs to be rolled over or reassigned, this is important because if you're not having those check-ins, how do you know if things are, getting swept under the rug? And now you're just setting yourself up for a whole year of failure if that one quarter got messed up. So each time you're having that weekly check-in meeting, whether it's with your team or with yourself, you see how things are. If something's a rollover rock, right? It kind of works because rocks are somewhat circular, right? A rollover rock. How long is this rolling over? Is it rolling over a whole quarter? You need a whole 90 days? Well, guess what that tells me? That was not a SMART goal. That was not a goal that was actually achievable, which is, the A in SMART. So you need to make sure that you're not having a ton of rollover rocks. And if it is rolling over, maybe it's rolling over a week. Hey, I need one more week to just finish this. You still with me? We're almost there. We've talked about a lot of different types of goals with different durations and different processes. But like I mentioned at the top of the hour, flexibility and adaptation are going to be key throughout this process. In business, just like in life, things change. Circumstances change, businesses evolve, and you need to be prepared to flex and adapt when those things inevitably happen. Remember the shit on the fan? How are you going to clean it? Are you replacing the fan? Are you hiring somebody to do it for you? Are you removing the fan altogether and trying something brand new so there's no fan for the shit to hit? Stretch. Stay flexible. When you think about how to maintain flexibility in your strategic planning without losing sight of that big 10-year goal, I want you to remember there's going to be a lot of methods that you're going to test and try. And sometimes you try something and it's a flop. But if you are measuring everything and using your SMART goals, you'll be able to catch it a lot sooner. Instead of just saying, I've got this big goal and let me put my head down and work. No, check in with yourself. How are those things going? And you may get some signs along the way that you need to adjust your plan. Those signs could be things not working out, right? You've tested and tried and you've hired other people. You've made a plan for it. You've added different, things to the repertoire and it's still not happening. Or you bring an item to market and it's not hitting its goals. Okay, we need to bring it back in and we need to think and we need to adapt and we need to figure out, is it a different strategy that we need to have here? What's going on? I always like to say that within the first 30 days of a quarter, I'll go back and look through all my rocks and say, do any of these not align with now what we've learned in the first 30 days? You kind of give yourself that flexibility, that little moment of grace to say, actually, I want to adjust this. This isn't what I want it to be. I want to change it to this. Last quarter, I had a goal. And all quarter long, I kept saying, I'll get to it later. I'll get to it later. And whenever I start pushing something off, I know something's up. Like something's going on. Why am I pushing this off? So I blocked a whole day and asked myself, why? Why aren't you doing this? And it came down to the conclusion that other things were calling my priorities, that other things were going to bring me in money. And I really didn't believe that this strategy was going to bring me in money. So I took that afternoon and I wrote it out. If I spent this time and energy and all of this, was I going to be profitable? And I actually determined that I wasn't. It wasn't a SMART goal. So I came back to my team and it was within the first 30 days of the quarter. And I said, guys, I actually don't want to do this rock this quarter because I don't think it's going to bring us what we thought it was going to. Give yourself grace in those dynamic moments. You have to stay balanced. You're not perfect and your team isn't perfect either. So if they come back and give you that feedback, listen. Your business isn't perfect. And guess what? It will never be. The beauty of entrepreneurship is the pursuit of perfection. You'll never get there, but you'll accomplish great things along the way. And if you feel like you've perfected it all, well, chances are you're not dreaming big enough. You lack imagination. You've killed that little Imagineer in your mind. Throughout it all, keep a clear focus on the big kahuna, the big, hairy, audacious goal. That's what you're fighting for. That's why you're giving it your all to crush those quarterly goals, those annual goals, those 2 and 5 year goals, because eventually it all compounds into the achievement of that 10-year goal, the big kahuna, the reason why you're even starting your business, the reason why you're here today. Thanks for listening to another episode of Young Boss with your host, Isabel Guarino. Be sure to like, share, and follow on Instagram and TikTok and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And let me know, have you ever had a rollover rock? Remember, youth is your power.